What is up, everybody? My name is Harris. Welcome back to the channel. I know I posted probably about an hour ago. However, I wanted to come up here and talk a little bit. I am not an insider. I don't have any inside sources. This is just a fan coming up to talk because John Gibson has reportedly demanded a trade from the Anaheim Ducks. It's being reported right now. It's kind of a breaking story. He said that he's played his last game for the Anaheim Ducks. And I find this interesting because I think Montreal, despite the fact that they don't want to necessarily, not that they don't necessarily want to win, that they don't want to spend draft capital and futures to get better now, basically get better, get better quick. Basically, they don't want to. They want it to be a gradual process with all of their young players. However, Gibson is not entirely an old dog. He's only 29 years old. Technically, he's in his prime because that is how most goalies tend to be, is once you get into your late 20s, early 30s. That's when you seem to be in your prime for a lot of goaltenders. Gibson does make $6.4 million. He has a modified no-trade clause, which is a 10-team no-trade list. So $6.4 million for 4 more seasons. That's not terrible. That has him signed until he is 33 years of age, maybe just 34. I don't think this is an entirely god-awful contract like some people might say it. Now, I might say it isn't. Now, I understand with his stats, and I apologize that part of my face is going to be covering... Oh, never mind. Okay, we're good, actually. Part of John Gibson's stats. You look at the first half of his career, 13-14, 3 games, pretty good. Looked very solid. Played 4 playoff games. 14-15, 23 games, the 2-16 and 9-14, pretty good. 15-16 wins the William M. Jennings with the 40 games, 2.07 and a 9.20. Plays 2 playoff games. 16-17 with the 52 games played. He has a 2.22 and a 9.24 with 16 playoff games. I believe that was when the Ducks went to the conference finals against the Predators, I believe. 17-18, 60 games, 2.43 and a 9.26. Gibson is on top of the world at this point. 4 playoff games as well. The Ducks start to slowly rebuild. 18-19, plays 58 games, 2.84 and a 9.17. Still pretty good. That save percentage is really, really damn good. But then 19-20 is when they really, really start to fall off. 3 goals against average in 51 games in a 9.04. 2021, 35 games, 2.98 and a 9.03. 2022, 56 games played, 3.19 and a 9.04. Gibson has never had below a below 900 save percentage recently, and even then, with the Ducks rebuilding those 3 seasons, 3 goals against average, 2.98, 3.19. Most goalies would be averaging a 4 goals against average. Gibson comes out to play every game. He keeps the Ducks in a good amount of games that year, despite the fact that they might be losing 5-2. He's still giving them chances. However, 22-23, they bottomed out. This was a god-awful season for them. 53 games, a 3.99, but an 8.99 save percentage. Gibson still played half decently. There were some Ducks games I'd watch, and sure, some nights it'd be like, oh yeah, Gibson is not playing well tonight. A good amount of nights it would be, Gibson is playing pretty well. Gibson is playing some of his best hockey this season in this game, and that would happen a couple times. But then again, you're averaging almost 4 goals a game. How good how good can you really be seen as that season? But still, an 8.99 is not god-awful. Sam Montembeault somehow had a better save percentage, playing just about the same amount of games. But John Gibson can absolutely rebound. And even then, Anaheim has barely any defense. Technically, they have future defense, but they do not have any current defense. The Ducks, even up front, don't have much goal scoring. Anaheim, with Gibson demanding a trade, now's the time for Montreal to pounce, in my opinion. Especially because he's 29. He's 29. He's just about to turn 30. So technically, he's going to be signed until he's 34, which is still not entirely god-awful. Say you have Sam Montembeault. You have Montembeault. In that last year, if he's somehow the starter over Gibson, is that really a bad thing when your mentor is John Gibson? Now, I seen one report, and I'm not going to pull it up because it's kind of fucking stupid, but I seen one report that, Montreal doesn't want John Gibson because the cap doesn't work, even if you trade out Jake Allen. But who cares really about the cap this year? Because the Canadiens, and you look at it, I got to go up here. Because our cap space, we have nothing, technically. But there's no LTIR right now in the offseason. Once you get to the preseason, regular season, we have $9.89 million. And yes, you can only go $10 million over the cap. Or 10%, I think. Not $10 million, Jesus Christ. 10% over the cap. We have $9.8 million in cap space. I would even say that's what we have right now. $9.8 million in cap space. And if you come down here to the guys that we currently have signed and that are pending UFAs or whatever, 23-24, we have $9 million in cap space. You trade out Jake Allen, for example. I doubt we'd want to deal Montembeault. He's 26. Jake Allen, if he waives his modified no trade clause, which is a 17 no trade clause, I doubt he would put Anaheim on there over, say, Columbus or Detroit or Ottawa, whatever. But say Jake Allen waives his no trade clause, you deal him out to the Ducks, or even if he doesn't waive there, you can still trade him elsewhere. Retain 50% of that contract. Does it really matter? But say he waives to Anaheim. You move Jake Allen. What else could you deal? Well, now, because because John Gibson has demanded a trade, his value is about to plummet, or has plummeted, I think. Whereas a few years ago, even in, say, 1920 or maybe even 2021, Gibson was seen as, oh yeah, he's still a really good goaltender. He just needs to be he needs to be on a good team. He just needs to be on a good team that can at least give him that chance to win, and he'll reward them. Montreal, well, obviously not a lot, not very, very good. They're still a half-decent team that can definitely be competitive this year. And you add to John Gibson, they absolutely will be. Now, a lot of people I've seen Montreal should rebuild for another year. Montreal should just, hope that everybody sucks, which I don't agree with that mentality at all. That's basically implying Caulfield gets hurt, Suzuki has a poor season, Harvey Pinard, Doc, all these guys, Newhook, they don't play well, basically. That's what's insinuating there. And no, if you're a Montreal fan, I think you should want the team to do good always. Even if you're in a rebuild, you should want them to win every night, I think. But now I'm not going to say, trade your first-round pick this year. No. But you have the Flames first next year. Now, of course, that's dependent on the Florida trade. It's either 2025 or 2026. I think it can even be, look at this fucking ridiculous thing. Pause the video and read that. I'm not reading all that. But that's the conditions on the trade. It's either 2025 first or 2026 first. I think there's something there about a 2027 first as well. But if I'm Montreal, I would hesitate, but I would think including that 2025 Calgary first would be fine. Now, are they going to be in a complete rebuild by then? Who knows? It's still another year away. How do we know guys aren't going to want to go to Calgary? How do we know that, say, for example, them kicking out Daryl Sutter and bringing in a new head coach, new GM Craig Conroy, how do we know that they're not going to go out and spend, say they go get Patrick Kane or Vlad Tarasenko, 1-2-year deals, maybe 3-year deals? I doubt they will, but who's to say they're not going to be good next year? Not this upcoming season, but next year. You either package that 2025 Calgary first, maybe making conditional, say, if it's a top 5 pick, but not number 1, because then it goes to Florida or Calgary or whatever. But make it conditional where if it's, say, top 3 or top 5, you trade out, say you trade your own 2025 first and a 2026 second, for example, or your 2026 first or whatever. But you take Colorado's second this year, and you take your 2025 second next year, you package those with Jake Allen, and I'd even include a guy like a Riley Kidney or an Xavier Simonu. I would go Riley Kidney because he's 20 years old. There's not a likely chance that he makes the National Hockey League with how good Montreal's prospects are. We already have Nick Suzuki, Kirby Dach, and Alex Newhook. That is guaranteed at least 2 of your 3 centers. That's almost guaranteed right there. Depending on if we really want to do pretty good, Suzuki, Dach, Newhook could be your 1, 2, and 3 center spots. However, with Dach playing potentially on the right wing, probably Newhook projects to be a second-line center. Owen Beck is another guy you have. He could be a second, third-line center. Hopefully second, but I could see him being a really good third-line center. And then if you want to run with, say, Jake Evans, you have him as your fourth-line center. You can get a guy like Evans fairly easily and for fairly cheap as well. Evans is 27. Say 3 years from now, he's going to be 30. Probably a good fourth-line guy. He's going to be one of your veterans on the team. I think it's fairly okay to say Riley Kidney is expendable in this deal. I like Riley Kidney. I wish him well, and I hope he pans out to be a fourth-line center. But Jake Evans being that grinder PK guy is something that's important to the team. You can deal out Riley Kidney and 2 seconds, which is basically 3 seconds because Riley Kidney was a second-round draft pick, and Jake Allen to get John Gibson. Now, of course, there's gonna be people in the comments probably saying, Harry, that's way too little for John Gibson. He's demanded a trade. You're not gonna be giving up 3 first-round picks, 2 roster players, and a prospect for John Gibson. Not anymore. Not like you probably would have had to in 2018, 2019, maybe. No. 2 seconds, or if you want to package that Calgary first. First, package the second with Jake Allen, even if you want to, Riley Kidney. Make that first-round pick conditional on if Gibson performs well, or if you get to the playoffs, or you get the worst of the 2 picks. If Calgary's 7th and Montreal's 13th, for example, they get the 13th overall pick, for example. Do something like that. You can absolutely work here. And for those of you who are saying, again, oh, well, Harry, the salary cap doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. Yes, it does. Because you get rid of, say, Jake Allen's contract. You're adding an additional $3 million with the roughly 3.5. You're adding that $3 million if you can get rid of Jake Allen's full salary. Even with 50% retention, for example. That's only 2 seasons of 50% retention. That's about $6.5 million that you're left with for the salary cap. That's a lot. You can add either a bad contract like we did with Sean Monahan last year and get an additional first-round pick. You can add guys in free agency if they want to sign, like a Kane or a Tarasenko, which I doubt we'd want to do, again, because youth movement, but again, Gibson's 29. He's just about to be in his prime. Gibson is a guy that can help Sam Montembeault. Jake Allen is washed up. Jake Allen is not a starting goalie anymore. Anaheim would be fine with that. They'd be fine with Jake Allen as a backup, or even if they want to start him 50, 60 games a year. It would be completely fine by me to move out Jake Allen for contract reasons, and the real cap is the real stuff you're giving up is the 2 second-round picks or the first-round pick and Riley Kidney. If you ask me, because Riley Kidney I think could end up being a third-line center in Anaheim. I think he could actually pan out very well because Anaheim already does have their first, second-line centers basically planned out, so it'd probably be more of a Kidney turns into a third-liner, hope those second-round picks do good, basically. Hell, even if you wanted to include him in this deal, Jordan Harris. Jordan Harris is expendable. I like Jordan Harris. I've mentioned it on live streams, and I think I mentioned it in a couple videos back. Jordan Harris could also be a piece in this deal. He's 22 years old, making $1.4 million for 2 more years. He's a left D, right D. Yes, we traded out Joel Edmondson probably to make room to have Jordan Harris in the lineup over, say, a Jonathan Kovacevic or Chris Weidman with Arbor Jacki coming back. But realistically, he's an offensive type of defenseman that is expendable. Because you have Mike Matheson, who probably should be here 2-3 years from now. I would assume so. Justin Barron, you have Caden Gooley, Arbor Jacki, Logan Mailloux, Lane Hudson, David Reinbacher. That's 7 defensemen right there. Matheson, Harris, Barron, Gooley, Jacki, Mailloux, Reinbacher, and Hudson. That's actually 8 defensemen. Matheson might be gone 3 years from now. How do we know? But you probably want a veteran presence on that back end in some capacity. Maybe Jacki moves to the wing. I've said before he'd make a pretty good bottom 6 winger, but we'll see. But you have to move out one of those guys eventually. You're not going to play 11 forward 7D or 11 forward 7D most nights just because you have 7 really good defensemen. No, you move one of them out. You get what you can get for that. If you can move, say, a Jordan Harris, which I like Jordan Harris again, but Justin Barron is a right D. If you want to move out even Justin Barron, for example, I would not mind that entirely. One of Harris or Barron. If you want to keep Jordan Harris because he can play both D positions. Justin Barron's more of a right D type of guy, which when you have Reinbacher and Logan Mailloux, who are going to probably be your top 4 there, yeah, Justin Barron being stuck on the third pair, probably not the most ideal. You can probably go with a veteran guy there. Say a David Savard 3 years from now if he's still good to go. I don't know if we want to, but say, for example, a David Savard type. More of a PK type of guy. But one of those D-men are expendable between Harris and Barron, in my opinion. If you want to include them in this deal, you can absolutely work out, say, Jordan Harris, if you want to include him. Say Jordan Harris, first-round pick, Riley Kidney, and Jake Allen, for example. I think Anaheim would hesitate to say no to that, especially with how much they're getting for John Gibson here. But a lot of people still are going to say, oh, well, Harry, the salary cap for the future, that's not going to work because what's gonna happen there? Mike Hoffman's not getting extended. I would be surprised if we extend Rem Pitlick. We're not going to probably re-sign Chris Weidman. And if we do, it's probably a two-way deal. Send him down to the AHL or whatever. Newhook, I don't think he's going to get more than $3 million. I think he gets a Kirby Dach type of deal, actually. Maybe 3.3, maybe $3 million. 4-year type of deal. Get him until he is that last year of RFA. You maintain that RFA status with him, so it'd probably be maybe a 3-year deal, for example. But you get him signed on a Kirby Dach-esque contract. Show you have that faith in him, probably. Justin Barron, if he's not being dealt in this deal, how much does he make? It's dependent on this year, in my opinion. Probably, I'd say in the maybe $2.5 million range, depending on, again, how much he plays, how good he ends up being. Sam Montembeault's the big weird one for me. I know Arbor Jacki, Sean Monahan, but Monahan, if he comes back to Montreal, if he's not dealt at the deadline, I could see him making maybe, say, $2.5 million. Depends on how he performs. If he's a 60-point winger, a 60-point center and stays healthy, which I'd see him more as a 50-point guy if he's healthy, maybe $4 million, depending. Jacki, probably not more than $2 million. I'd say $1.5 million is what he more than likely gets on an extension. Maybe a Harvey Pinard-esque deal. You sign him for 2 years. Say, hey, prove yourself, whatever. But Montembeault's the weird one, because if he puts up good numbers, he might get more. But it depends on how the team plays this year. But even then, right now, pre-extensions, we have $58.7 million spent of next year's cap floor, of next year's cap space. The cap is $83.5 million right now. We are nearly $30 million back. Again, this is for 24-25, not 23-24. This is before the Newhook extension, before Justin Barron, before Sam Montembeault, Sean Monahan, Arbor Jacki. If these guys get extended, for example, I doubt Pillick and Hoffman do. Hell, there's been talks of us buying out Mike Hoffman, which I don't think we can because I think the first period is past for that. But yeah, regardless, the Canadiens pre all these extensions and signings have the cap space. Even then, say Newhook gets $3 million, Barron, that adds to $5 million. Say he gets $2 million. Montembeault, let's just say he gets $2 million, for example. That's about $7 million. Monahan, let's just say he plays well, gets a $4 million contract. That's $11 million, for example. And even Jacki, say he gets $13 million, for example. That's $71 million right there. You add the $3.5 million that you're adding with John Gibson, that's still $74 million. And keep in mind, this is before the cap goes up. The cap is projected to be $87.5 million next year. It is projected to go up by $4 million. And even then, I've seen some people saying, oh, well, it could be closer to $90 million than it is right now at $87.5. It could end up being 88, 89, very close to $90 million, I've heard. And then even then, in 25-26, it's expected to be $92 million at the salary cap. So you have those 2 years of free range you have free range for how you want to spend that salary cap. And if the cap in 25-26 is $92.5 million, who do you have to extend for 25-26? Well, Christian Dvorak, he's seemingly gone. There's been trade rumors forever for him. Yoel Armia, if he's not traded out, I doubt we extend him. Evans, okay, might make $3 million because that might be how much fourth liners are making. Maybe say 2.5. That's fine by me. Harvey Pinard, if he lives up to the contract and lives up to how fans are expecting him to play, could get $4 or $5 million. Sure, maybe. David Savard, Jordan Harris, Michael Pezzetta, Caden Gooley, Jonathan Kovacevic, Jake Allen, and Yuri Slafkovsky are all up. Slafkovsky and Gooley are the absolute big ones there. They are the only two guys that necessarily matter. Again, this is depending on if Jordan Harris is traded, if he's staying in Montreal, if it's Justin Barron going. We'll see. But Caden Gooley, if he plays the way he played in his rookie year, could get $6-7 million right out of his ELC. If he develops the way he played in that first year, like a veteran already, if he is one of the best two-way guys by the time that ELC expires, he's going to get at least $6-7 million, no doubt. And Yuri Slafkovsky, if he starts playing, developing the way that fans want him to, which again, he's 19, give him time. But say that last year, he has a 60-point year, wouldn't be surprised to see him get a $4 or $5 million contract, 3-4 years, maybe $6-7 million. Again, the rumor is that we are not paying anybody more than our captain Nick Suzuki, which is great. We are not paying anybody more than our captain Nick Suzuki. Caulfield got, I think, 7.6. Where's Caulfield? 7.85. So we got 25,000 less than Nick Suzuki, actually. I thought it would have been pretty funny. 7.8, 7.4, but no, whatever. But yeah, you do not have many big guys expiring in 25-26. If the cap is 92 million, for example, and you're spending that 74, for example, Okay, that gives you about $15 million to work with. Gooley and Safkovsky, yeah, that leaves you a little bit strapped with Jordan Harris and David Savard or whatever. But again, it's not guaranteed that Brendan Gallagher's even going to be here. Josh Anderson's going to be here. Say Galley's probably on LTIR because the dude gets injured and plays 20 games a year at this point. Say he's on LTIR, that frees up $6.5 million. Say we trade out Anderson by that point because Slavkovsky's overtaken him, or one of the other guys can play like him, or say you transfer Arbor Jackeye to the wing and he ends up being an actual Josh Anderson power forward. Who knows? We'll see. I still think Jackeye could work on the wing. Maybe Florian Jackeye. I don't know. But say Anderson's not guaranteed to be here still. None of these guys are guaranteed to be here, you know? But say Galley's on LTIR, Anderson's traded out, that's an additional $11 million you've got there. Even if just Galley's on LTIR, that's $6.5 to work with for Harvey Pinard, for Jake Evans, for Jordan Harris. If you want to bring back David Savard, I don't think he's getting $3.5 million on his next contract, regardless of what the salary cap might be in 25-26. And then 26-27, the only guys you have coming up, Mike Matheson and Kirby Dach. Now, of course, this is not looking at non-roster guys in the AHL. Philip Mazar, Owen Beck, Riley Kidney, Josh Wall, who are all up in 26-27. Sean Farrell, Emil Heineman, and Xavier Simonu, along with Jan Mishak, Jaden Struble, William Trudeau in 25-26, and 26-27 is Logan Mailloux. This is not bringing any of that up. But, again, if you can build up a potential cup contending team by 26-27, 25-26, say somewhere around there, and your starter is a 31-year-old John Gibson, 32-year-old John Gibson, and you have this type of team in front of him, again, say you trade Mike Hoffman, Christian Dvorak, Yoel Armia is not brought back, Rem Pillick isn't brought back, Michael Pezzetta's out of the lineup by that point, David Savard's gone, for example, Chris Weidman, you trade Jake Allen for John Gibson, you have Philip Mazar probably coming to the lineup. I thought he played really, really good. Sean Farrell, up front, you have him coming up. I like him. Joshua, who I think both those guys are going to get at least looks in preseason. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get a couple games each in the NHL. Owen Beck, he's coming up. Even on the blue line. Logan Mailloux is apparently set to talk with the National Hockey League. I forget if it's Bettman or just the NHL. I'm assuming it's to see if he can play in preseason. Wouldn't surprise me if he does. But even then, by 25-26, Logan Mailloux should be in the NHL, at least given some tryout games. David Reinbacher should be in the NHL by that point. Maybe Jacob Dobesch ends up panning out. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But either way, if you can have John fucking Gibson as your starting goaltender with the amount of defense that we have, great defenseman, Caden Gooley, Lane Hudson probably is expected to be up by 25-26 as well. Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Kirby Dach, Alex Newhook, Raphael Harvey Pinard, Juraj Slavkovsky. These are all guys that can fit in your top six. If you can build up at the very least, playoff team, Gibson might make you a cup contender. Genuinely. And I know this might just be the fan in me excited that, John Gibson is on the block and there's a chance that he's in Montreal. And I just realized I have not had the Habs logo up this whole time. I'm sorry. We'll have it up for the end of the video. But John Gibson on the block. If I'm Montreal, you throw out the offer at the very least. You throw out Jake Allen, one of Barron and Harris. You throw out Riley Kidney, and either that first and that second round pick. Maybe you throw them both. By the way, big shout out as well to Cap Friendly for all the info that I've been searching on HockeyDB. Those two sites are wonderful. Use them for all your cap things. But that trade, I think Anaheim would have a very, very hard time refusing that. Again, you get a first round pick, rather it's Calgary's or Montreal's. You get a second round pick, maybe both. Maybe you'll include both Colorado's this year and Montreal's next year, because we don't need many more prospects. We don't need many more top six guys or defensemen. Reinbacher, looking back, I was pissed at the pick when it was made, but he is apparently alleging to be a great top two defenseman in the NHL, and I'm very happy with that. If he turns into the next Roman Josi, like some people have said that he might, I'm happy with that. You know, great partner apparently to Lane Hudson, but you have the defense there. Goaltending has been your only real issue. Now, Montreal, yes, they're known for finding really solid goaltenders. Of course, Ken Dryden, Jacques Plante, Patrick Waugh, into the Jose Theodore era for a while, Cristobal Huet, and then Carey Price. Now, could Sam Montembeault, Jacob Dobesch, one of the guys we just picked, one of the three goalies we just picked in the draft, end up being the next best goaltender for Montreal? Sure. who's to say you can't trade for John Gibson anyways? Who's to say you can't trade for John Gibson? Because these goalies, unless Jacob Dobesh magically comes out of nowhere like Devin Levi in the next year or two, it's more than likely some of these goaltenders are going to take 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 years to come into the National Hockey League. John Gibson being your starter at least until the end of the contract is not a bad thing. If he doesn't need to revert to his Vezina contending form, but if he can give us 80% of what he gave the Ducks in 18-19, we are a big playoff contender for this upcoming year. Now, of course, the plan does not revolve around John Gibson like it does Carey Price. John Gibson is merely, yep, he's our goaltender. He's pretty good. We know he can make saves. Go out, do what we need. Go out, do what we can. Guys who can score goals, you guys go score. Guys who can defend. Alexa Hamlin. But no, I like Alexa Hamlin. I'm joking on Alexa Hamlin. I'm pulling his chain a little bit. He's never going to see this, so it doesn't matter. Not like he can come over to Canada and beat me up anyways. No, but legitimately, John Gibson would be such a good piece for the Canadiens. And I really hope we pull that trigger. One of Barron or Harris, Calgary's first round pick, again conditional, maybe they get the worst of the picks, blah, 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 whatever. Jake Allen, 2 seconds, Riley Kidney. Kind of hard for Anaheim to say no to that when Gibson has guaranteed that he's played his last game in Anaheim. I think that's pretty good if you ask me. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. I just spent 30 minutes rambling about John Gibson, only for him to probably go to, I don't know, Colorado or something. I don't know. We'll see. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, favorite, which includes everything, which includes, but is not limited to, again, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, else. My name is Harris. Subscribe to join the Puff Club, the H Club, Hub, D-Nation, Random Moscow, New York, comments, and streams, and running videos. It is much greatly appreciated. Thank you, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, my name is Harry Rice. Subscribe to, links in the description, Amazon, which is the PO Box, PayPal, the Discord, the Twitch, Letterboxd, Twitter account, and the Streamlabs and the Twitch are all down there as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my name is Harry Rice. I know Montreal. Always remember, no matter how bad we are like last year, how hopefully much better we'll be like this year. Go Habs, go, baby. Thank you guys again so much for coming by. My name is Harry Rice, and I'm out. Love you guys. See you guys. Bye, guys. Love you guys. See you guys. Bye, guys. See you guys. Bye.